Now, I have a question for you. What is common between these two games, besides the fact that they're both fighting games? Well, on the surface, they may look like completely different games. But when you actually look inside of their code, you realize that they have a lot in common. Way too much in common. And so, let's get started. Now, before I start actually getting into it, I'm going to be beating a dead horse a good majority of the video, since a lot of the stuff mentioned here are stuff I've mentioned in previous videos, which will suck, but I'll try to include as many unique things as possible to keep this video, somewhat unique. Now, there are two unused models left over, one being one of Tails' tail models from Fighting Vipers. As you can imagine, that's quite the tongue twister. These are just leftover models from when they used the Fighting Vipers designs of the characters during early testing of the game. You want to see what they look like on the new Tails model? Now, I know, it's obviously a one-to-one copy to Fighting Vipers, but, I'm sure I really did not need to tell you that, because, your brain already told you that these are exactly the same. Next is Sonic's head model. However, it does go used in an interesting way. In the flying carpet stage, you can see a lot of objects in the background, including vending machines for some reason, and one of those objects is that head model, and as you can tell, they are an exact copy. Well, besides the back of the head model not having any polygons on it. But it's such a cool detail that not a lot of people even knew to begin with. It's kind of a cool Easter egg that developers kind of snuck in. You do have two screens left over, one of them being a Fighting Vipers logo and the other one being a Game Over screen. Pretty basic stuff. One of these you can actually see in a magazine screenshot. You do have some other stuff like nameplates left over for Sonic and Tails. Even characters like Jane and Picky have theirs left over too. And even if you go inside the unused bookkeeping character text strings, you can see some characters' names, one of them being Sanmon. However, you can even see some other characters' names like Shundi and Lion from Virtua Fighter 2, which is very weird. I don't know why these are left over here too, but maybe they were just left over from other assets as well, and they just forgot to remove those? You have two modes completely ripped from Fighting Vipers, one being random mode, the other one being ranking mode. I've already talked about a lot of these before, but you can see the ranking mode UI, some of them still being intact. Keyword some, because the background texture isn't there anymore because they just removed it. Obviously it's very complete, as you can tell. You also have an unused camera in the game, which was used whenever a replay was playing in Fighting Vipers as well. As we have seen so far, there are a lot of things left over that they either forgot to remove or didn't even know they were in the game's code to begin with. But what if I told you there's even a whole character left over? Somewhat. And no, it's not suspect number one. While it is true that they were made to tribute Fighting Vipers, that's not who I'm talking about here. Rather, it's Big Eggman of all characters. Why him? Well, if we go to the nameplates and sprites I mentioned earlier, we can assume during development, they built a lot off Fighting Viper's source. And in that source was most likely a lot of character data in there too. If you look at the characters from the two games, they match up really well internally. Like, you don't know how well they fit, like, extremely well. They're like one-to-one copies to each other. So what most likely happened was that when they were making Mechless Eggman, before Mech Eggman was decided, they forgot to remove the big clone during development, and that big clone was Big Mauler, obviously. Or it could also be Sonic as well, because Sonic in Fighting Vipers was really weird in terms of how he scaled in that game. so maybe it could also most likely be him too. But honestly, I can very well see both. Well, that's all the things I could find at the very least. If y'all know any other Fighting Vipers stuff that's left over in this game, let me know, because I'm pretty sure I might as well have missed some, but I've tried to find as much as I can. This video couldn't have come out at a more perfect time, as Fighting Vipers is almost a 30-year-old game soon, or technically is now, depending on the day you're watching this video or by the time it gets uploaded, which is absolutely crazy to me, considering this arcade hardware that people are still talking about years later is this old. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys soon.